look in the eyes of my brother.
Welcome back.
Without shedding a tear for my brother.
Welcome back to InforMILLy. This is the podcast for your ass, for brothers, and coming to you all about this thing called life. And one, and I can't think of any other numbers after one that we won't make rhyme. So, welcome back to another episode of the InforMILLy Honest Podcast. And we thank you for joining us for another week of this here informal honesty. Fellas, how y'all been?
Been all right.
Trapped in the closet. I'm just thinking of songs now, but yeah, I've been good, man. Been all right.
Hella travels for me. Hella travels. It's been good though.
That's good.
You got the aviators on
And the big rig.
and the big rig.
My CB.
Well, not much going on this end. Wrapped up a show, so I'm off for the next couple of weeks, and yeah, figuring that part of life out. How I'm gonna have some income, but
I was actually about to ask that. Like, I'm sure it's like a gift and a curse of sorts because you're grateful to get that rest. That's probably much needed, but also you're like, what the fuck?
yeah, I mean, it's mainly just because like I'm not great with paying attention to that calendar like I should be. To be able to go like, oh shoot, I'm gonna be off for 2 weeks. Let me make sure I got some other work for sure lined up, as opposed to hopping on Amazon Flex or going, well, y'all got anything? 5 a.m. I'm not doing that, and and so yeah, one of these days I'll get better about it. But beyond that, yeah, it's all good. So yeah, nothing that consumed my life all week. But let's jump into what we're gonna talk about this week. Adam found this headline. So we read up on it. A new law in California. I don't know why I said you're. In California requires the state to pay $140 for every day spent behind bars once a citizen is found not guilty of a crime they were wrongly imprisoned for. 2 men were released after 17 years, and the state owes them $900,000. Now I'm gonna hop out there and start this and go, that's not enough fucking money. It's just not. It's just not. 17 robbing someone of a whole damn near adult worth of life. Yeah. And paying them less than $1 million in totality.
Yeah. In California at that.
In California at that. Writers Guild Association strike aside. I know y'all losing y'all major industry at this current time, but y'all have more than enough money to it's so many things wrong with this, but starting there, 1, it's not enough money. 2, crunch the numbers on this. Minimum wage in California is $15.50 a day. That means that they paid them equivalent an hour, but they paid that shit a day. But and so is that an hour? And you're saying that for less than just over 9 hours per day is what they were paid, in which I don't know any job that really does that. And so, like, what's the average work day is about 8 hours?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah. And I know while y'all in there, making panties and pressing license plates.
Unless you're Rick Ross. Unless you're Rick Ross and you're a hustler. You're a hustler,
Right. So I'm like that. It just doesn't make any sense to pay them that little bitty ass amount. And how often are cases where you actually have a viable chance of getting proven that it was a wrongful conviction, even going through?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point, because based on the fact that I can't imagine people are getting let out of jail that often anyway for for crime that they didn't commit, I feel like they can afford for that number to be so much higher.
Right.
Like $300 a day, or whatever.
I have 10K.
Yeah. But no, that's a valid point.
What are your thoughts on this? How are you feeling?
I remember listening to a podcast. Of course, I can't think of the name now, but it was a there was a lawyer on. He was fighting to get a lot of people who he thought were wrongly convicted out, and he was talking about how difficult the process was, and how a lot of the times it's the prosecutors and it's the DAs. It's a lot of people who just don't want to admit that they were wrong, or you know, like down to the officers who just can't bear to admit that they're wrong. You know, and a lot of them are going off their instinct, which may work sometimes, but once again, just could not admit when they're wrong, even when blatant facts are put in front of them, DNA and all kinds of shit. So knowing that, like you said, it's a lot of people who probably don't even get this chance. And so it's not only the fact that they spent 17 years in jail, and thinking about the danger of even one day in prison, the danger of even one day, the fact that so the danger of one day in prison included with these egotistic motherfuckers who can't admit when they're wrong, knowing that they're keeping people in this terrible place and away from their families and so on and so on. 100%, this 900 grand ain't gonna work, man. Now, $1 million a day, we talked about earlier, $1 million a day. I don't know.
We talked about it off air.
Yeah, we talked about it off air. That's a lot. I'm only saying.
No, $1 million a year. $1 million
a year. I'm sorry. A year. My bad. A year.
It's like $1 million a day. That's
yeah. My bad. You said a year. My bad. You're right. I'm just like shit. I just immediately went to like, fuck, man, I would love to
get wrongly convicted.
Yeah, I'm like, bro,
I do 3 years.
Like, yo, I'm like $1 million a year, man. What do I got to do? Go smack somebody, some prominent person in front of the cops or some shit?
But the point is to be wrongfully convicted. You can't just go commit a crime and be like,
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
have Chris go do it, and like, it wasn't me. They won't believe that you got a brother that, you know.
Right. Oh, identical.
Exactly. Yeah, man, it's fucked up. But like, it's mainly of course, the whole situation is fucked up. But one of the biggest issues is the fact that I don't know how, I'm guessing a lot of these prosecutors and DAs and different people stay in their career until they're retired. I don't know how often they're getting fired or like, or stepping down or whatever. So unless these motherfuckers are changing for whatever reason, who knows how much more of this shit is going on. Like it's all fucked up, of course, but that aspect of that, knowing that it can continue happening for the fact that people aren't just willing to admit that they're wrong because they want an advancement in a career, and locking this person up will make them look good. All kinds of crazy shit, just the difficulties that people are going through. And the simple fact that you got some human beings who just won't say that they were wrong.
But even beyond that, we've seen cases in the judicial system where through privatized prisons, through wrongful convictions, through outright racism, all of the factors that kind of go into the judicial system, is it a thing of just people not wanting to admit they're wrong, or they stand to benefit from just another case going in a particular direction?
That's what I'm saying. A lot of times it's career, like that guy on the podcast was talking about. A lot of times it's like career advancement.
Mm-hmm.
Like if like this case, a lot of these cases, especially when they get all that publicity, they end up being some of the biggest cases in the country. So if you knock this out swiftly, you're up to the top.
I always wonder, because maybe I just never really heard of this part of the story. When that happens, does it ever like backfire on the people involved in the original case?
Typically, they're long retired. I mean, a lot of times they're retired, and like I listen to a lot of like true crime podcasts, and like a lot of times, especially on those cases that take like 30, 40 years to solve, a lot of times they'll look back at the police work done, and almost every time it was like negligent, like they didn't collect the evidence correctly, and now the evidence is ruined, or they just straight up lost the evidence. Like, you'd be surprised how much that happens, where they just or they would destroy the evidence because the case is too old. Like, but y'all haven't solved it yet.
Did that, didn't he?
Who?
Robert Kraft, didn't he destroy the evidence or something?
Oh, I
don't know.
I don't know.
No,
Talking
but
about the Patriots owner?
Yeah.
I don't know. The only thing I know he was involved in was that massage parlor thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can't blame him, man. He's stressed, you know.
But no, dang. But I forgot what I was saying.
No, you were saying they even destroy evidence.
Oh yeah, the evidence and the police work. So yeah, so like yeah, a lot of times they'll on these podcasts they'll expose like the bad police work done, and most of the time these cops are retired, dead, you know, or if they're alive, they just they don't want to comment on because they'll reach out to the people for comment, and of course they don't reply back. And
that's the part that gets me real quick, man. That's the part that gets me. Like,
yeah.
So what? You don't want to comment? You have to, motherfucker. What do you mean you don't want to?
The story is going out there regardless. So.
Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, no. Force your way in this fool's door because he had a hand. He played a role in this. Get in there and make this motherfucker make a comment.
Well, I think for one, I think we kind of gotta mention that it is a start because so many times I've seen on everywhere, news, YouTube, these people spending so much time in jail, and they're trying to find like some type of it's like non-for-profits and things like that to help them regain their life. And
yeah,
but I mean, everybody knows you can't get that time back. That's irreplaceable, especially time that you have with your family. You a father maybe that missed your whole kid's childhood and things like that. But I think it may cause the state to have more accountability when they go through these trials. And another thing is, I don't think that's an appropriate amount, but if it's towards the big side, like maybe say millions of dollars, then you start to get scammers, I believe. There's going to be a lot more scams, and then you're going to have to try to weed those out through the system. But ultimately, the whole system is like, it's not like we were saying, like it's not an honesty system. So it's more of a who's the dopest lawyer and who has the most money and has the best team type of thing. So maybe it will start to make them more honest. But the whole judicial system is really not based off of honesty if you think about it. But
that's true. It's true to point that out, and it's fair that it is a start. It's better than what has been, what it has been. Yeah.
Other states to implement it, then that'll be great. Because there's people everywhere across the country that's dealing with that.
Yeah, and it's probably people
can't pat. These motherfuckers are struggling with things that aren't real. Drag queens reading the kids at school. You're like, nah, we need to pass some goddamn legislation on these goddamn drag queens.
Yeah,
motherfuckers who have never met a drag queen in their life.
Yeah, like most people haven't. Like when you think about it, I guarantee you the average person has never had a conversation with someone dressed in drag. Like
I assure you,
like I would bet my life on that statement.
Come on down to Atlanta.
That's a great point though, Josh, because we spend a lot of money and time on things that don't affect the average American. Like there's so many people dealing with that would be like a no-brainer in every state. But that shows you what like because I bet you that so many people and so many families dealt with that in California that they started to talk to their legislators and actually made a change. So maybe if we could think about more important things and try to get those things changed in the courtroom. But you know how long I bet it's like it seemed like always when the state wants to get something done, they'll get it done pretty quick. But if it's something that benefits the people, it kind of take a long time. So there's no telling how long that took to actually pass.
I was just about to say that, yo. Like a lot of times, it's slow change when it benefits the people, and like it's slow change. So it's nice to see something. It's nice.
It
to
is
see
only fair. It's only
try something. Yeah.
I'm with you that it's a start. And so yay, it's a start. My issue is that when starts happen, they either meet a bunch, either and meet crazy amount of roadblocks along the way, or people trying to shut it down, and so the start stays there and never progresses to the place where it actually should be. It always gets fed to the whoever it concerns as be grateful you got that.
I wonder what the pushback with this particular thing would be. Like, I'm trying to think what can you say? Like, no, they don't deserve. What's the pushback here?
I mean, it could be that typical. I'm not saying this is real pushback, but it could be that typical thing where they're like, there's so many crimes out here that sometimes this will happen, but our tax dollars are going toward making sure that we can keep people safe, and a whole lot of rhetoric that will never really add up to what the fuck is actually going on, because serving people is not a thing that this country particularly does all that well.
Dang, you know what, man? I wish I'm actually going to do a little bit more research about this to like see if there is any pushback. Well, this was
I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
I'm just going on Fox News website real quick. I'm sure there's some there.
It would help me comment if I heard some of the actual pushback.
But I bet you, I think they will waste, or they do waste more money having all these people go to court and lawyer costs and all this. They're wasting more money by wrongly accusing people. But
being in jail costs more money.
That in itself, yeah. But the lawyers eat. That's basically what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I lost it. Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Like that's another thing. I guess you could say that with any industry though, or not. Almost a lot of industries about like it's more about who you know sometimes, and that shit's so annoying. Like the connection that people have.
Yeah.
Doing like each other's salads ends up fucking some like at the expense of other people. It's crazy.
The hope is always that these professions that have to do with either prosecuting or protecting people actually serve that role, but not necessarily only for the benefit of the person in the position of protecting or prosecuting. It just becomes less about the people.
It's just like a residual to me of our capitalistic society. I always like criticize capitalism on here, but I feel like we get into a point where it's like kind of doing a negative effect for our country, because after a while, and when this like off topic, but after a while, it's going to be less humans in the workforce.
Okay, the whole AI thing.
Yeah. It's becoming real now. And we're going to have to adopt some forms of socialism. I think so. Or it's going to get like this gap in economy and wealth and stuff like that is going to get bigger, and most people are not going to be able to survive.
And then we'll finally be able to eat the fucking rich.
That's funny. You guys asked like, what would be the pushback?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to go to Fox News and see what they're, reporting. I would like to go to the comment section of Fox News, because that's where you get the real voice of the people.
All right.
So now, surprisingly, half the comments are supportive. Like, that's good for them. But then there was this one that the person was like either, like, I guess they did the math, but like either one of them would have made $52,000 a year. It's like, they're saying like they were getting paid too much, I guess. Because I guess in that person's belief, there's no way that that those black men can make a modest $52,000 in California. But so I mean, yeah. So like, of course, that's not pushback towards the policy, and that's not particularly what I was looking for. But that just goes to show you that.
Say that number again, if you don't mind.
Well, I'll give you the exact number because like I said, they really did the math here. 52,941.17
A year based on what? Like what?
I'm guessing that's what they're saying, that 900,000 divided by 17 years. I'm guessing that's what that equals.
Oh, okay.
But that don't make sense though, because
it doesn't.
Like the average black man doesn't make that in California or something like that.
I don't know. I just
that's probably what they're arguing. But
yeah, well, I think their argument is saying that black folks don't make money. That's the underlying statement.
Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, I mean that's to be expected. But
yeah, that is what they're saying, pretty much. That.
Yeah, but as far as the pushback, though, the only thing I could think people would say would be like, well, they shouldn't have put themselves in that position to begin with, or it'll be some like victim blaming type of, even though they clearly are innocent in the crime, but yeah, we'll see though, I guess.
We shall see. But yeah, it's just yeah, you're right, just shy of 53,000 a year or whatever. But I'm like, that's not enough money for the circumstances.
No.
And then you gotta pay pain and suffering, man. You've been through pain and suffering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For your family and you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's surviving 17 years.
Yeah. You had to become a Nazi or
oh yeah. You have to join a group. You have to decide on a group.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Like gotta learn, throw some hands, play some basketball, or
make a shank.
Pop that thing wide open. You gotta do what the fuck you
gotta do. It is so interesting though, man, to like figure out how much money is fair. Like there's different angles to go on, it's wild, man.
I can see that aspect of it being refined. Like they probably will see like, well, what has been your past incomes? Even that's not totally fair, but
it's not.
I can see them having some type of system.
Something tangible is what they're always looking for.
No, because it's not tangible to send somebody to jail for 17 years, even though they didn't do anything. Yeah. So
that's true.
So the payment has to be the payment has to fit the ridiculousness of the sentence. So like this person spent, almost 2 decades of their life in prison. I don't want to hear anything about like, well, what would they have made? Because that goes out of the window. Because
I can see them doing that though.
That's probably what they did.
That's totally fair, but
yeah. And I think they should do that. Like by all means, like, okay, what would they have made? Then take that number and multiply it times 5. And then you give them that. Cause it just, like y'all said, the pain and suffering, the missed family time, I mean, I don't know how old the person was, but I mean, say they went in prison.
2 guys.
What's up?
Or either of them, because it was 2 guys.
Like, oh yeah, true. So I mean, but say they're 20. I don't know. Say they're 20 and they get out at
37.
What, 37? It's like, I mean, you're already like, that's you middle age at that point. I mean,
you've missed the most formative years.
Yeah, like
that you would have had to build whatever career you were going to have.
Yeah,
like. Even if you were using that base number of like what were they making at the time, then you got to do that shit that motherfuckers aren't doing in the real world anyway. But like account for inflation, what the like
the state you're in,
yeah, like the inflation in the state you're in, what property taxes cost and all that kind of stuff. If you could have been a homeowner based on the line of work that you were going in, if that shit happened while you were in college, what's the profession that comes out of what you were majoring in? What's the average pay of that motherfucker if you got a job in that field? Because if it was $120,000 a year, then you getting paid $140 a day doesn't make any goddamn sense.
How many of these situations, how many of the situations where someone's wrongly convicted for 17 plus years or even 10 years, 5 years?
It probably don't happen often.
Like,
because a lot of times cases don't get
what I'm saying is like, how many of them have sued like the state? Is that a thing to like take money and and sue and take your chances suing the state for the very reasons that we're talking about.
I've heard of people doing that before, but it's just random. It's like sometimes giant sum of money. Sometimes it just depends on if you can afford the lawyer, and but I don't think there's like a every time someone gets wrongly convicted, they do this thing. I just think it's like this person's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because I feel like I got a chance.
Money I got, and like I have a legit reason,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
The money, the access to resources and evidence, and even the state. This happened in California, and so we can't act like like 2 black men getting out in California is not like indicative of how liberal California is, how shit. But like all of if this shit happened in fucking Louisiana or Alabama, I'd have a very different like view on it.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, I don't see either of those 2 states ever passing
any kind of legislation like this.
Like it would have to be federal. That's the only
right.
Because they think very, very lowly of their incarcerated population.
Right. If Florida did this, I would be like, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marco, I think I cut you off. What were you about to say?
No, I was just agreeing with the you will have to have a good amount of money, especially coming out of jail. Like that will be the main reason you probably wouldn't be able to counter sue or however you say it. Like how do you just did all this
that's what I'm saying.
This big jail, you can't even afford to do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like these situations where they've already been given money, is it possible to sue for what you thought was more fair?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I guess I don't see why they couldn't. But I mean, I saw the photos and the thing from the article. They look happy. So I mean, if they're happy, then fine. but I guess something's better than nothing. I guess
right. Right.
But it's kind of hard to argue. Like, man, I had a higher trajectory. Like before I was going in there. Like I was
on top of the game.
I had plans.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, man, how they would be difficult to calculate is what I mean. That's what I was saying. Like how?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think so. Honestly, I really don't. I think the amount of money to a lot of people is so like for us, for the average person, $1 million is like a lot of money. I'm gonna just say they got $1 million basically.
Sure.
They didn't make it clear they did not get over $1 million, but let's say they did. I mean, that's really not a lot of money given what they have to go through, and given the fact that I'm assuming they're gonna have to pay some type of tax on that. So I'm guessing. So that's about half right there. Yeah.
Like even crazier for y'all to try to take any taxes out of that.
That's true.
So that's going to be about half. And then, like I said, California. So now you have enough to buy a house, and that's basically it. I mean,
and not know like
great, incredible, but
yeah, like a decent house.
Yeah,
you still institutionalized, so you like staying in your same room and stuff like that.
I mean,
buying out for an hour.
I mean, buying a home is how most Americans accumulate wealth or build wealth. So that's a great thing that they'll be able to do that. But I don't know that they'll be able to do much more. Which is like, dang, like
and there's a lot of expenses. There's a lot of expenses in a home. Like it's not really like always an asset producing.
That's very true.
Income producing asset.
Wow. Hot water heater go off. You can't call the landlord. You got to fix it yourself.
And depending on where you get it,
Yeah. If you don't have the perfect home where nothing goes wrong, no grease stains, no dog shitting and pissing on the carpet, nothing.
Granted, I don't know like what the areas look like now in 2023, but this is 96 watts, and like just that property value ain't gonna increase.
Yeah,
in the foreseeable.
But everything else, but inflation will. So that's the thing too. These last 17 years, like man.
Yo, you could look at how many veterans in our country are doing very bad, and that show you how much they actually care about that type of thing. Because you would think that would be one of their main.
I've always thought that,
to focus on.
Yep. I've always thought that just as much love as you see from, individuals, nonprofits, for-profit organizations. Like you see so much love showered upon veterans. But like Marcus said, like you'll go downtown or wherever and you'll see these people, supposedly they're veterans, the signs say they're veterans, but I'm gonna trust them at their word. But we do know that there's a humongous, homeless veteran population. We know that veterans kill themselves at a rate of about 22 people a day. Like that's a real thing. So I mean, that there's definitely an issue going on, but it seems like the country that puts veterans on such a pedestal, when it comes down to it, it seems like once you walk out the door, they don't actually care as much as they, make it sound like it,
True. I've heard
which is
that.
their prerogative, but
It's great. Like, and why is it so hard for people to get things they need through the VA, which is supposed to help them? Why is it so why is it so difficult to utilize a resource that is specifically geared towards veterans?
I wish I know. Did you know that the VA, Veteran Affairs, is like out of every federal organization, no organization has more employees than the VA. Like when I found that out, I was mind blown because I always thought it would be like the Department of Defense or like the military itself, but it's just the VA. Like they have the most federal employees out of any federal organization.
It's the front.
I guess to answer your question, there's so much kind of like red tape. There's so much BS that you got to, kind of go through. Like, for example, I go through the VA to pay for my school, and there's not a lot of guidance on like how to do it. I mean, so you kind of just stumble over these steps until you just figure it out. So it's like, now granted, my issue is a lot less, like I don't have like a health thing where I'm like, my life is dependent on it. So I'm not tripping like that, but there's people that got to go to the VA for actual, health benefits and mental health benefits, and their situations are a lot more dire. And I don't know why the medical part of the VA is so bad, but from my understanding, there's just a lot of wait time, and then there's like a trust thing where like you'll say something's wrong with you, and they think you're making it up because you're trying to get money out of
get money or get drugs.
And some people are trying to pimp system, but I mean it is what it is.
Damn, oh my God, that part, man, is like that little part right there can be an excuse in so many different situations where you'd actually are trying to create something to help people, and somebody goes and scams, and then once they find out somebody's scamming, they throw all this extra fucking red tape and stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's always going to be somebody that tries to abuse something, whether it's the EBT thing, whether it's the PPP loans, whatever. Like, there's always going to be somebody up to no good. But I don't think that's ever a reason to shut down a program or like how a lot of Republicans say the election, or not just Republicans, but a lot of people say the results of the last election can't be trusted for insert reason. But it's like when you look at voter fraud and like stuff like that, voter fraud technically happens every election, but it's such a minuscule number that it doesn't, like, it would require so much that for it to affect something. I think the same thing goes for like when the people abuse the food stamp system or whatever, like it's like it's such a small amount versus the amount of people who are actually using it to live off of. I don't think it's worth vetting it to the level or that they do. Is like, dude, just
what you're
like,
saying,
you got the budget for it anyway. Just
What you're saying is it never was the reason why. It never was the reason for the actual outcome of an election.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like voter fraud, I don't think will ever
actually
change
affect anything. Yeah,
it might shift. Well, you know what? When you look at the 2000 election, with the whole Florida thing, like you could say that was a version of voter fraud, maybe suppression, because
they threw away a bunch of votes.
Well, no, because the way that the ballots were created, I guess. And I only know this because we just recently like looked into this, like, so it's like it's kind of fresh. But I guess the way that the ballots were created, they were kind of like offset. So like, when you open a notebook, the line should kind of go across the page. It was kind of like offset. So it made you think, so it made it look like you were voting for one person, but you were voting for somebody else. And then like, they were like, we don't know if they were created like that on purpose, like to purposely confuse people, or that's just how they were made. So basically the ballots that were created like that, those were the counties that they tried to recount or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not trying to do a history lesson or anything, but
no, like, I didn't know this. That's
okay. Yeah, me either.
Well, yeah, because that election happened when we were in like 6th grade. So like,
but I mean, I remember aspects of it, with the whole Florida recount and talk about like they found ballots in the river or in the ocean and shit.
Honestly, I learned a lot about it just because, like I said, we were in 6th grade, so we weren't like into the whole.
Not at all.
So, but yeah, like I didn't realize like the Supreme Court like had basically told Florida to stop counting at some point, which if you look at like the roles and responsibilities, the Supreme Court has no authority to do that.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's like, okay, cool. The Supreme Court said do this. So even though they technically had no jurisdiction basically to do that, but everybody just went with it. So, and I mean, there's so many things about that election I didn't know, like the lady that was in charge of the whole Florida recount. She was like, I don't know, she was a Republican, but she was also a part of the blah blah blah, which was, I don't know, it was just a lot of like it was a lot of connections everywhere. And I don't know, like, because we always say
to be considered coincidences.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously Jeb Bush is the governor, he's the brother, so there's that.
Exactly.
It didn't look good, but like I said, I don't know that could happen today without there being some type of mass rioting. I feel like, especially if it happened on the other side, like if Al Gore won under those circumstances, like in 2020, like January 6th would have been even worse if it happened like that. Because it was, to me, just looking at, what happened, it just looked like a blatant, they stole the election. That's just what it looks like. It's a fascinating thing. To me.
No, it's crazy that like to like think back to myself in 6th grade and how little I remember or like knew or cared of like this big event that's happening in the fucking world, and I was just happy to like. I remember Bush came to UPS to speak, and my aunt let us take a day out of school. I was just excited to fucking not go to school. I was like, I'll listen to whatever the fuck this dude is talking about for free food and to get out of school. It's crazy. These big things happen. It's like from the viewpoint of us, 12-year-old. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, let's put a pin in this, and we'll come right back to it after this. Hey, random thought. Just inserting this. No commercial today. We just need to get this off my head because I heard it mentioned and I never realized. It's NBA playoff time right now. Lakers fucking destroyed Memphis in that last game, and somebody brought up besides Dylan Brooks, who got excommunicated, got blackballed pretty much by the fucking Grizzlies. Do y'all know Ja Morant's first name?
It's something crazy. It ain't Ja though.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry. It's
Ja is Ja. No, please. It's fine. Ja is short for Jamel, which is his middle name. First name is fucking Demetrius.
Yeah.
Never heard that. Demetrius? Demetrius. Not duh.
Yeah.
They were just like, nah, it just sounded like one of the situations where like the dad's name starts with a T, so like all the kids need to start with T. Like, but the mom was like, I really like Demetrius. It was my great granddad's name. He gave us a pendant, he gave us land. And so I really want to honor Demetrius, like, but I don't start with a T. So what can we do?
Sounds like a difference of math.
You say what?
It sounds like a new branch of math.
Oh, branch. We got calculus, and then we got Demetrius.
Demetrius 103.
Yeah. Or the D's. Yeah. Demetriosis.
So that really tripped me up because I was like, I just whenever I hear common names with just something like when I met a LaMarcus for the first time, I was like, was the love necessary? Like your name is fucking Marcus. Like we didn't need to have a love in front of this.
I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that a lot lately because you know what? Like there's a college that did this where like they took a regular name like Paul and they added "duh" in front of it. And they made it a ghetto college. DePaul is a ghetto college name. Like, and it just hit me the other day.
Oh man, so like that or fucking coach who wasn't really a coach, but Jimothy.
Yeah.
Jimothy.
Shout out to Jimothy, but
I forgot that was his name too, man. Damn.
Yes, I won't say his last name. That's not blow him the fuck up. But you know, I don't need all 23 of our listeners to be like, let's search this nigga Jimothy, find out the fuck he's doing these days. But I heard that, and I was like, I'm gonna bring that up on the podcast because just in case y'all didn't know about this incredible talent of John Morant.
Mm-hmm.
That nigga's name is Demetrius, and I don't think anyone should call him anything else.
Steph Curry name, not Steph.
Yeah, so Wardell, something like that.
Like, yeah.
I saw a post it was a while ago, but they had a bunch of athletes with like real names, and there's so many that don't go by their actual name. Like for example, I didn't learn this on that post, but yesterday or the day before, Keyshawn Johnson, the wide receiver back in the day, Keyshawn is his middle name. His first name is Joseph. I was like, what?
Joseph Johnson is pretty plain. I would go with Keyshawn too.
Yeah. And what's funny is they were talking about it. What's funny about it is they were talking about it on their show, like what's it, Keyshawn, J. Will and Max. And they were talking about it. He was asking them like if he looks like a Joseph, and like, no, he doesn't. And I was thinking to myself, because he got drafted number 1 overall, which is pretty rare for a wide receiver. Like, I wonder if he would have got drafted overall number 1 if his name was Joseph instead of Keyshawn.
That's what I'm saying. Joseph, do you want to be a goddamn star, son? You need to go with Keyshawn.
I think it's what receivers and point guards need flashy names, I guess.
Yeah.
It is one of them things where you go like, I can't blame Black parents when they really do want to give their kids some black ass name, but they're like, we live in white ass America, so we got to give them something so they can get a job if they do that. But just in case you get to black it up.
Yeah, my parents went too far with the common name thing. It was like, come on, man, Adam. Like, even though over time I've learned to like it, but my other siblings though are kind of worse off. Like Gerald and Ruth. I'm like I would hate to have either of those names, but
yeah,
I mean,
Ruth is definitely Ruth is Anna Green Gables.
Yeah, that's like
for sure.
House on the Prairie, Little House on the Prairie.
I will say I have not met a lot of Adams in the Black community though.
No, I mean I met one. Like then, and we went to two. There's one that I went to elementary with. He was like older than me, and then there was another one that I ran track with at work.
Wait, what grade in elementary? Because we went to elementary together. I don't.
He was significantly older. Like I just,
okay.
And the only reason why I like even knew who he was is because he had my name. So like Marcus said, there's not a lot of Black Adams. Like, oh, the dude's Adam, but he's
Black
like
Adams.
Yeah, I think I might have been
horrible movie. Worst movie that he's ever done, and that's saying something because The Rock is not a great actor. But
his life went downhill after that movie, man. What's going on? I feel like his life went downhill after that movie.
Because it
got divorced.
Disrespectfully bad.
Dang, I didn't even see it, but something told me just don't watch it.
Here's the thing. I can enjoy a bad movie. I have times where I just go watch a bad movie. That insulted my intelligence.
Come on, man. What's going on with DC? I'm supposed to be a DC fan. It's not.
Well, James Gunn took over, so we're supposed to be doing, it's supposed to get better, starting with Flash, even though they kept a fucking psychopath as the Flash. But
what's his name? Ezra? Is it Ezra Miller still?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Motherfucker out here kidnapping bitches.
Hey, isn't Michael Jordan a pretty plain name? I know it's hard to like think of him.
It is.
Because he's fucking Michael Jordan, but that is one of the plainest fucking names.
But I mean, it was also the 80s, so I'm like,
maybe things were. Yo, you see that Air movie, by the way? I thought it was pretty good.
I haven't seen it yet, no. I heard it was good, though.
I'm trying to see.
It was good, too.
Well, all right. That was my comment.
Word. So we can come off of this, and let's go back to our regularly scheduled programming.
I forgot.
We could actually say this. Who fuck cares? But no. So going back to the original subject, if this were to happen to you, where you got wrongly convicted for 15, 20 years or somewhere in between, you got to pay out less than. We're from Indiana, so we're not getting 900,000. You getting 750 at best. So you get that.
Man, I was expecting 500 grand, but I'll take the 750.
I was being optimistic. You light skin, you'll get the 750. We'll get the 500 probably. But you come out of there. Are you staying where you are? Are you gonna go somewhere else? Or you're like, hey, for 500K, I can go ahead and get this property in Ghana, and granted, cost of living over there is starting to become equitable. But what you doing with it? What are you doing? What's your choices? Are you gonna countersue and go like, I'm gonna need the rest of my ducats?
I didn't even think about it like that, because I was like stuck on like, just staying in the state you're in. But you bring up a good point. I'm leaving, man. I just got wrongly confused by the state, and I'm taking my resources and I'm leaving the country, and I'm gonna go somewhere where I could live off of $900 a month, and I'm gonna just make my money last. Like, that's what I'm gonna do.
That's real.
I don't know where I would go, but somewhere that
especially if you got your own land and you like got your own garden and shit, and you like pretty much creating your own food supply.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that. So in that case, the 900,000 might actually work out just fine. Because you can make a business, you can still grow another business off of that money too. So you don't have to just sit at home, live off of it. So
as long as you go somewhere where that's just not just gonna get eaten up.
Yeah.
Which is why you invest for sure. That's probably one of the first things I would do is have somebody help me invest properly.
I mean, once I know that my court case is going possibly in the green, I might actually get out this motherfucker for that, whatever, 17 minutes that they let us use the internet, or or if I gotta, get somebody's Samsung Sphincter 23, then I'm gonna get this research here to find out cost of living, how long I need to be somewhere where I could get a 6-month visa. That sounds so sweet to got you.
That's really funny. But the alliteration is like it works well. It works.
And the 23.
I should have said Sphincter Galaxy. That probably would have made more sense. But the joke worked.
Yeah, 23 was definitely the cherry on top.
The Michael Jordan callback.
I like that.
Oh, I ain't even do it for that. I did that. That's the current Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
It worked. Come on, triple entendre. Call me Wasaloo, or Joshaloo, haha. But yeah, I'm getting out. I'm using that time to do some research, find out where I can go that I can easily get a 6 or 12 month visa that's easily renewable. I know Thailand be doing that shit easy. What business can I start? Do I need to go out here and teach some English? Or hell, if I go to South Korea, I danced at one point. These motherfuckers love Black culture. I can go out here and teach some dance and teach some English, teach some Ebonics, and live off of that.
Well, first things first, I'm gonna see if if my lady's still behind me, if she's still with me. I'm gonna make that call first and be like, yo, did she change her number or not? Yeah, provided we're yeah, you know what I mean? Like after the first 12, she might stop coming to, the visitation. Yeah, that's 12 years. That's commitment.
With the new nigga. he in the waiting. I'm like, all right, baby, I'll see you when you get back.
You probably got a plan for your money though.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So once we figure all that shit out, I'm gonna go ahead and get some help with investing my money, so I can get some like consistent returns wherever I go. That money will help me, and then I'm gonna invest in myself. I guess that is kind of investing in myself, but I think after 17 years of I might need to check on my mind. I might need to get my mind right, or like check on my
mind,
check on my well-being. So I'm gonna invest a little bit in that.
And some money towards the mind,
and then I'm probably gonna maybe just do what I already want to do, is like move to the mountains somewhere, get some land, and maybe like build a home. Nothing crazy, but just what we need. I already know how to get the orchard and all that shit going, and the garden going. So
I mean, you know that now. I don't know what the gardening programs and stay paying are.
17 years of not doing that shit. I might be rushing. That's true. That is very true. Yo, that is yeah, man. I wonder, like, what is the process on getting new resources, like those kind of opportunities, like getting new projects or programs into prisons, to like keep shit like that up. Like, all right, well, if you don't have a lot of other skills because you're in here for a while, how do we make sure that like gardening is a part of outside time, or like learning skills like that could actually help you survive in real life, like outside in the real world, quote unquote?
I don't fully know, so I'm not speaking from that experience. A friend of mine started a dance program at a women's prison.
Oh, dope.
And from what she was telling me with that, because it was a nonprofit doing contracted work in the prison and whatnot, the prison nor the state really give them any resources for what they do in the prison itself. And so, like, anything as far as the resources that she would need of where would it happen? I know at one point it was happening like in the chapel, or like in another room, like making sure there was a space in there for the people who wanted to participate to actually participate, making sure there were assistants there just in case anyone had any physical things or like any mental troubles or whatnot. There would be like one guard and then just one of their like a TA, but I can't think of the right word for it. But not a TA for the teacher, a TA for them, like whoever their assistant person is. But she had to bring her own like music resources. She had to bring her own like any other things that she would need. The state wasn't making sure that she had it in order to make sure that that program could function. So as far as like gardening or agriculture or
like anything,
that's what I'm saying, any kind of program.
Yeah.
I don't know if the state necessarily provides it to them.
Yeah.
And unless because I don't know prisons or reform programs.
So I guess they're just there to say yay or nay, and then the rest is on you to come up with.
Or programs to go in there and do it.
I think like if so, like, does your friend, does she run a nonprofit, or is it just like is it just her own like?
The nonprofit is specifically for that.
Okay. So yeah, that's interesting. The reason I say that is because like typically the state will fund, like typically nonprofits get funding from the state. Not
Mhm.
not that that's their only way of making money.
No, yeah, but
obviously.
it's one of the main ones.
Yeah. But no, that like because I know like my dad, like he's been teaching like Bible study in prisons for decades at this point. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah. So I don't know like how like I've never known like how that system, if it's under like another program or like if it's not, I don't have no idea. But
Well, Bible study, I would think that's more so like a volunteer thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't think he's being paid to do it or anything.
No, he's not. No.
And not that I don't think she's really being paid to do it, but it's different, I guess. It's because she has the nonprofit, she has to apply for the money to get the things for them, but it's not the state providing it to the prison to make sure she has it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a question. So we all get out, we got our money, we're making decisions on what we're going to do with it, how we're going to live the rest of our lives.
Mhm.
Do any of us say, I'm going to turn around and create something to help other people who seem like they're going to be victims of being wrongly convicted as well? Or do we wait till we invest and like get ourselves situations set and then we put resources into that? Because a lot of people do that when they're like, after 20 years, you start thinking like, okay, once I get on my feet, I'm gonna help somebody else type shit.
Even more than the on your feet, I don't know how much knowledge I would have necessarily toward, I guess at that point of how I got myself out, that could help. But like, because whatever my situation was, like, let's say if it was I'm trying to think about I don't know what the wrongful conviction was, but let's say it was like a robbery and I just got convicted because I fit a description or whatever. And yeah, I would probably have to look toward cases too similar to mine to start, at least, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. Oh, like are you saying just to be sure, like?
Because that would be the process that I'm most familiar with, as opposed to just going in a general thing of like, oh, let me try to look into cases of false murder or things of that nature, where I'm like, if that's not how I got pinched or whatever, then I might not know the best way.
Yeah. So that's your okay. I got you. I feel you. I mean, are you saying you would connect more to somebody who had a case similar to yours versus just being wrongly convicted in general?
It's not whether or not I'm connected to it. It's me knowing like, oh, these are the ways that I was able to get off. Like
I got you.
The process of evidence and research and all that kind of stuff.
Got you.
I would probably have a better access to people in similar situations to me than generally.
Got you. Okay.
Is the way I think about it right now. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about like whatever's out there, even if you had the money to like whatever resources are out there at the time where people are fighting for those who are wrongly convicted. But I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
If it's just me or whatever legal team that I was working with, and that's what we do, then it's that. But like if I'm going like, oh, let me get with some coalitions who do this work, then yeah, it probably could be more broad because people will have more expertise in different cases.
Yeah. Or I was thinking like, let's say during that 17, 20, 30, whatever years I was in there, like if something in particular got me through, like if spending more time outside learning agriculture or whatever is one of the things I really look forward to during the day. Like I felt like it actually got me through a lot of my bid, like not being, not driving myself crazy because I know I'm in prison. If that's like a little bit of respite I get, or wood shopping or whatever, or.
Oh, I think I misinterpreted the question.
No. This one is like a different one. I'm kind of like just jumping around here. But
okay.
I was just saying like maybe that's another angle. Like if there was something that really helped me get through my bid, that like helped me stop me from going crazy, whatever program they have, I might start I don't know. I might try to help fund an art school or some shit like that in areas where people are having less opportunity anyway, just stuff like that. Just whatever, because this aspect of it seemed to get me through. I mean, it could have been church, it could have been arts, it could have been outdoors, whatever.
Islam.
What y'all think, Adam, Marcus?
I mean, I'm taking my money and I'm hightailing it out of there. Like I'm not looking back. Now,
I feel that.
If it was more money, then sure. But like, a sub $1 million check, yeah,
I feel that. Well, let's say
thoughts and prayers.
That's kind of why I was giving like I was trying to provide like a range of like, either once you get the money or like once you've invested and you're set, you feel like, okay, I'm good now with my life. I'm not having money no more.
Here's the thing. I ain't got to be present.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm with you that it's not necessarily enough money to really be doing that much. So hopefully if as I'm doing this, my money would grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping like if you're investing well, that's the
Well, I mean, in that case, then yeah, like for me, I've always wanted to help homeless people. So that's probably the direction I would go if I was to do something like that.
Gotcha.
But like, I just, that's what I would do, honestly. But I just would need the resource to do it. I don't want to put myself in a bind,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like usually with money, you can find some sort of resources.
Yeah.
Once you're actually set. But anywho, that was just a different angle I was thinking of, because a lot of people will go through an experience and then that's what inspires them to help others, in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do like the idea of just saying, fuck it all, going and living the rest of your life too with that money.
What about you, Marco?
I think I would I have an answer similar to Adam. Like if once I get all my finances right, like then I would try to look into maybe the people who did their time and didn't get out, some sort of program for them, or put my resources in something that already exists maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy to say that now, but like once you I don't know. I don't know exactly if I would do that. But like I said, I would have to be in a good situation before I did that. But as far as what I would do with the money, I would definitely start a business. And then right now I'm trying to, like, if I could buy some trucks and like employ some people, and then I would just be able to do the executive part of the work. Okay. Then I would be able to go somewhere else, and just let that work for me. So probably do that. Yeah. Then if I get, enough money to actually do some philanthropy, then that would be viable.
Yeah, that's always one thing. I'm like, if I ever come into some money, I know I want to be philanthropic with it. But for sure. Still broke. So let us know what y'all would let us know what y'all would do about this situation, how you feel about it. What would be a real number to you about like it's 900,000 good to you? Do you think it should be more? Do you like, nah, nigga should have got less because I'm a shitty person?
Because you're a demon, yes. You're a fucking demon.
You know what? Like, at least in the movies, like they all say they didn't do it. Like I guess it will have to be like it will be some hard work to try to get somebody really off, like you have the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to get somebody off in court. So that seemed like a lot of work to me.
Oh, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah. Especially, in the justice system that don't want to let people out of prison, whether they're wrong or not. So it is definitely a lot of work.
Yeah. Now they don't want to pay that money either.
Yeah.
Because factors I'm always clear about in situations like this is this was not a quick thing that happened. Yeah. It's like, who knows if this process was happening for the entire 17 years they were imprisoned, or maybe the last like 5 or 6. And if they got 900,000, they were asking for probably about 2-3 mil.
Yeah. And another thing to consider is like they spent 17 years and they're not even getting $1 million. Well, what happened if they spent 8 years? That's still a considerable amount of time to serve, and not so it's not even going to be likely it's going to be under 500,000. So it's like, and that's another thing to consider is like, if someone spends a decade of their life, which is still a lot of time,
Right.
To spend in prison for something you didn't do, they're not even going to be nowhere near $1 million. So that's another thing to consider. And that's why I think
it's not even 50. It's 41.2.
Oh, okay. So like percent of.
Yeah. So, wait a minute. I did that wrong. We said $140 a day.
That's the Galaxy Sphinxer that you're using. I got the math.
Zeros in there. Yeah, we said times 365 days. That's times 8 years. Yeah, for $408,800.
Yeah, and then after tax, like taxes, that ain't gonna work. The 140 a day is not gonna work. It needs to be like 300 a day at the minimum. Like, and even then, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, we love y'all. We appreciate you. And fellas, any last thoughts?
Not really.
All right. Well,
if you in jail, then you're not spending that money. Like, if it's 140 a day, then you didn't get a chance to spend it.
And on that, y'all know where to find us, and you know where to follow us. I appreciate all of y'all that be like, "Oh, we see the podcast." Like, like, "Oh, you saw it?" Like, you watched the clip, or you listened, or you watched the YouTube, and they're like. I literally had one person hit me with like, man, just be glad I acknowledged it. Like, hold the fuck up. No, like that does nothing for us, my nigga.
Yeah, hold on. Whoever that is, in case you're watching, fuck you. What?
Yeah,
be glad
I agree. I'm sorry.
Who the fuck are you? What? Be glad I acknowledged it. Don't fake support. Just fucking say
like,
you don't support
I didn't ask you to. Yeah. I mean, I'm asking you to in this moment of like, be a supporter, hit us up on Anchor. You can always send us sponsorships on Anchor. You can hit up our Cash App, InforMILLy Honest. But by all means, you watching, the clips that we put up, thank you. But you scrolled. You were scrolling. Cool. that doesn't take any effort.
Yeah, I'm good on your acknowledgement from now on. So,
yeah,
they didn't say that, but the like shrug. I was like, come on, man. Like, did you not expect me to check you on that? Like, oh, thank you so much for sparing that 60 seconds of your day.
Yeah. If you about to respond like it's a fucking feed the children commercial or something, get out of here, man.
But no, we love and appreciate all of y'all who really be listening, who really be engaged and all of that. Please tell your friends and tell them to get on it too. But otherwise, we're just gonna keep on doing what we do because we enjoy it and we enjoy you. We appreciate you. And so every connection that you have and every companion that you connect with, we encourage, empower, and implore you to always be forthright, be vulnerable, and do your giggity goddamn best. Please be honest.
Hey, I got final comments for these gentlemen who just got out though. I'm just wishing a smooth and graceful rest of you guys' lives, man. That's it.
Now, when I said, do y'all have any last thoughts?
I know. I'm fucking it up. No, I know. I was too busy enjoying Marcus's comment. I was like,
I already got the sign out, dude.
I know. Peace, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Look in the eyes of my brother without shedding a tear for my brother. I really want to try for my brother. Cause I truly do feel for my brother.